Guys, just as the stock market's flashing red with that infamous Hindenburg omen lighting up like a warning siren, the same one that nailed the 1987 Black Monday crash and the 2008 meltdown, Ripple's own CTO drops a cheeky tweet about dodging bullets with hydrogen in your house. And right on cue, we're seeing whispers of massive institutional moves bubbling up around XRP, including fresh buzz from Ripple's president on how their stablecoin, RLUSD, is already powering real-world payments for nonprofits. Proving utility isn't just talk anymore. If you're feeling like the crypto world's on the edge of a cliff with all this volatility, stick around because what I'm about to unpack could flip that despair into straight fire. Connecting these market tremors to why XRP's setup is screaming opportunity, especially with Ripple swell kicking off tomorrow and heavyweights from BlackRock CK to the White House potentially signaling the green light for tokenized everything. This isn't your average dip, it's the kind of setup where smart money positions before the boom, and I've got the dots lined up to show you why detractors are about to eat their words. Let's dive in because things are heating up fast. You know, I've been kneed in this space long enough to spot when the noise is just static versus when there's a real thunderclap coming. Right now, with the S&P 500 dipping after that Hindenburg trigger, folks are panicking about a repeat of 08 or Black Monday, which hit on, you guessed it, a Monday, and tomorrow's that day. But here's where it gets juicy for us XRP holders. Ripple's CTO David Schwartz tweets out this gem about the Hindenburg blimp's explosive history. Basically saying we all dodged a bullet because that hydrogen tech is safely tucked away in everyday stuff. Now coincidence maybe, but in crypto, these little nods from insiders often hint at bigger plays. Think about it like sound waves. The market's blasting all this chaotic static from stock crashes and yen carry trade fears. But underneath, the big catalysts are building pressure, ready to clap back with force. And for XRP, that means tying into Ripple's push on real adoption. Like Monica Long, the president, just highlighting how RLUSD is enabling instant payments for global NOSs, turning hype into tangible impact. That's not some pie-in-the-sky rumor, it's happening now, countering all the FUD from Bitcoin maxis who love to bash anything that's not their precious store of value king. Speaking of which, let's connect some dots here. You've got Jim Cramer, that legendary inverse indicator who's so reliably wrong that his calls beat actual insider trading stats, with inverse Cramer outperforming even Nancy Pelosi's portfolio by 10%. He closes out the month disappointed, waiting for a Monday bounce, which in Cramer speak probably means more downside, and sure enough, we're seeing dumps across the board, including XRP feeling a bit stuck in that $250 range after hitting highs earlier this year. But guys, zoom out. This is textbook accumulation before the next leg up, just like we've seen in past cycles. Remember 2013 to 2017. XRP lagged, chopped sideways amid all the doubt, then exploded when liquidity flooded in. Same vibes now with analysts like Raoul Pal pointing to a multi-vector liquidity injection from the TGA drawdown, end of quantitative tightening by December 1st, and even China's PBOC easing to combat insane debt costs. Liquidity drives crypto, period. When it rises, risk assets like XRP surge, especially with its fixed supply of 100 billion tokens, no new minting, and burns on every transaction that make it deflationary over time. Now tie that to the Ripple swell lineup dropping tomorrow. We're talking a convergence of trillion-dollar banks, asset managers like Bitwise and State Street, regulators from NYDFS and the EU Parliament, even real estate tokenizers. This isn't random. It's the execution phase after years of setup. Start with Hunter Horsley from Bitwise, who's bridged TradFi to crypto with Bitcoin and ETHETFS. What if he's teasing a tokenized multi-asset fund settling on the XRP ledger? Instant programmable trades ditching legacy rails. That's control over capital flows, positioning XRP as the go-to for post-Swift liquidity. Then Nicola White from Robinhood's institutional side. They're onboarding millions retail, but imagine them integrating Ripplet for settlements with XRP as the invisible engine for 247 cash moves. You won't see it front end, but it'll power everything just like email protocols work behind the scenes. And don't sleep on the big banks. Scott Lucas from JP Morgan, head of digital assets. They've got their Onyx blockchain, but linking it interoperably with XRP Ledger. That makes XRP the bridge between private and public networks, gluing the new system together. Shared execs between Ripple and JP via projects like Digital Pound and Guardian Scream. This isn't coincidence. Then Moody's Rory Calgary dropping a digital asset risk framework validating XRP as low-risk infrastructure. Boom. Pensions and insurers can allocate legally. That's the regulatory domino we've waited for, especially with Monica Long confirming USD's real adoption surge, like nonprofits using it for real-time aid payments. This counters the short-term chaos from AWS outages. Yen hold at 0.5% potentially triggering carry. Trade unwinds in January, or Trump's confusing flip-flop on pardoning CZ from Binance amid manipulation scandals. Guys, think about Trump's own words. He disturbs markets while his Treasury pick Scott Bessent soothes them. Straight up admitting manipulation on TV, saying, "Scott, go in and clean it all up for me." That's hypocrisy at its finest. Critiquing crypto while insiders like him play the game. But for XRP, this volatility is just background noise. Its fundamentals shine through: utility and payments, escrow locking up 55 billion tokens for controlled release, transparency that shames secretive projects. Contrast that with Bitcoin. Max is blind to anything beyond digital gold. They ignore how XRP's speed and low fees make it ideal for the 650 trillion real estate tokenization wave. Like Brandon France at Swell potentially announcing fractional ownership settled on XRP ledger. That's trillions unlocked with XRP at the center as the bridge asset. Here's where it gets really interesting. Pundits are calling XRP Ripple's strategic war chest as RLUSD adoption surges, with Long teasing major pushes to unlock utility. And with Swell's Asia-Pacific corridor via DBS, EU's My 2.0 nod from Bill Kyler, and NYDFS's John Malin greenlighting XRP settlements. We're seeing global interoperability click into place. This ties directly to why XRP feels stuck right now: its accumulation. Whales stacking Bitcoin and ETH hard, but alts like XRP historically lag then rocket. Analysts from VE to Mustache see November as Bitcoin's strongest month at plug 38% average, with Q4 prime for fireworks as government reopens and liquidity floods. Kip Herriage notes bearish sentiment at all-time highs is bizarre. We're up 5 times from 7-year averages, safely above $2 for the first time in history. I wasn't expecting this level of alignment, but look at the chart's high level. XRP's flip last cycle's $2 peak into support, hovering at the monthly Tenkan line that's held strong before. Bollinger Bands squeezed tightest ever, signaling a massive move, and with bull market intact, upside's way more likely. Javan Mark sees XRP outrunning Bitcoin by 600%, potentially surging drastically from here. Even bears like Martinez warn of a 225 retest, but no one's calling the end. Most insist double digits or higher, like $27 or $35 peaks. That's not crazy. History shows XRP's final leg dwarfs the first, especially with tokenization narrative exploding in 2025. Critiquing the maxes here, they hype Bitcoin as untouchable, but ignore how utility like XRP's crushes in real payments, contrasting their opacity with Ripple's audited escrows and burns. And amid Trump's market disturbances, like not knowing CZ for pardon while praising Bessent's soothing, it's clear insiders extract liquidity. But XRP's transparency positions it ahead. China giving Trump a year before depression hits. That's why he's grabbing control, but crypto's the hedge, with XRP's fixed supply and burns making it scarcer than gold over time. Guys, if you're panicking from the negativity on X, full of doomsayers begging for a downturn while we're at highs with Trump surging the economy, take a breath. Perspective. Crypto's up from 2.2 trillion to 3.6 trillion in a year. XRP's held above $2 for a year after 7 below. This is reaccumulation, an ABC wave shakeout before the spring, mirroring gold's past patterns. Whales accumulating ETH to kick off alts. When it rips, XRP follows fast. Tying back to that thumbnail vibe, the holy snap moment with Ripple's shocking insider nods, making 10,000 XRP feel a 100 times easier through deflationary scarcity symbols and institutional lineups. Like that scarcity icon representing XRP's burns and fixed supply, or the graphic of power players at Swell symbolizing buy-in from BlackRock KK heavies and White House reps. This positions you ahead, turning stuck into launchpad. Midway reminder: if you're looking to grab XRP during these dips, check my favorite spot in the description. No pressure, just a solid resource for building your stack safely. Pushing forward, global perspectives add depth. Asia's DBS creating XRP corridors for east-west flows. Europe's Bill Kyler confirming XRP meets my compliance for digital euro backbone by 2027. That's neutrality in action with XRP as the settlement layer. Psychological insights. Smart money's patient. They see the flood coming while retail flips out over chops. Address those pain points. Misinformation from Maxis claiming XRP is dead. Nah, it's thriving with regulatory wins like Long's upbeat on prime expansion and RLUSD's institutional push. Turn despair to excitement. This is the edge in competitive fields. Critique industry norms. While Trump disturbs and soothes via proxies, Ripple's transparency exposes hypocrisy. No more secretive dumps. XRP's on-chain burns and escrows build trust. For novices, think of it as upgrading from snail mail to instant messaging for money. Simple, fast, cheap. Experts get the depth. Interoperability, unlocking trillions in RWAS. But here's the connective tissue that ties it all to XRP's rocket potential. Pundits are calling XRP Ripple's strategic war chest, evolving hand-in-hand with RLUSD's surge. RLUSD handles the stability for settlements, but XRP steps in as the neutral bridge asset, zipping value across networks without the volatility hangups that Maxes love to harp on. It's not replacement, it's synergy. XRP providing that open, permissionless liquidity where stable coin rails fall short, freeing up capital locked in old-school accounts. Think of it like upgrading your old radio to a full surround sound system. RLUSD delivers the clear signal, but XRP amplifies it across borders, burning tokens with every transaction to crank up scarcity. And with Long predicting imminent XRP ETF approval following Bitcoin and Ethif's lead, we're talking institutional floodgates opening wide. Spot ETFs could pump demand, mirroring how ETHs shot up post-approval. This shocks the system because it flips the narrative on its head, while markets dump on macro fears. Like the Hindenburg and potential yen hikes, Ripple's quietly building the rails for tokenized assets with Long outlining 2025 priorities around institutional adoption on-chain. At Swell, expect revelations on how RLUSD redefaces global payments, potentially unveiling deeper ties with heavyweights like Bank of America, where Long's hinted at blockchain collaborations bridging TriFi and crypto. That's the dot connecting magic. From White House signals to BlackRock CK's tokenization plays, everything converges on XRP's ecosystem, where its fixed supply and burns create a deflationary edge that gold wishes it had. Critics yapping about XRP being obsolete. Nah, they're missing how RLUSD minting from Ripple's balance sheet actually spotlights XRP's role in providing net zero demand friction for swaps, making it indispensable for efficiency. Guys, let's critique the hypocrisy real quick. Bitcoin maxes preach decentralization, but ignore how. XRP's transparency exposes their echo chambers. No shady insider trades here, just audited mechanisms building trust. And amid the noise of AWS crashes or Trump's market meddling, this positions XRP holders as the smart money ahead of the liquidity tsunami Ralph Paul forecasts. Price speculation. With RLUSD's real impact driving burns and adoption, analysts see XRP melting faces to double digits or beyond, especially if Swell drops ETF teasers or master account status hints, making Caitlin Long's FUD look dated. Historical parallels scream it. Post-chop phases like now precede explosions turning 250 stuck into launch fuel. On a visionary level, this is about empowerment, transforming uncertain times into a digitized era where XRP holders aren't just investors, we're pioneers in a borderless economy. The inevitability, global orgs adopting RLUSD proves blockchain's here to stay with XRP as the utility king. Excitement builds as Swell could flip the switch from Asia corridors to EU compliance, unlocking trillions in flows. If you're holding through the static, pat yourself on the back. You're surviving chaos better than most. Set for the clap when catalysts hit. Let's keep connecting these dots. The best is yet to come. As Long says, onward indeed.